Well, hello and a very warm welcome to Business Today TV. I am Chetan Bhutani. Today, I am joined by the Additional Secretary, Minister of Consumer Affairs, and of course, the Chairperson of the CCPA, Ms. Nidhi Khare. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. A big news coming out of today, ma'am, out of today's presser, is of course on the dark patterns, ma'am. I'll simplify for the viewers. You have basically also taken action against. You're planning to actually summon the airlines for the paid seat and the dark patterns that the companies are offering with respect to web check-in also. Could you just give us the detail, ma'am?
So actually, we had held a very wide consultation on the draft for the dark patterns guideline, and this is something which consumers need to know. We also wanted to raise the awareness amongst consumers about what these dark patterns are. So essentially, dark patterns are unfair trade practices which are being adopted by e-commerce or other digital platforms who are selling either products or services, and they are using algorithmically driven certain practices which manipulates consumers choice, does not have consumers consent, and tries to fool the consumer into giving his consent, and consumers end up buying services or products which they don't need. So these are the dark patterns that are being used in a rampant manner, and even countries, across the globe, um, they are facing this challenge of how to deal with dark patterns on e-commerce. So the next phase, which we wanted to also, apart from finalizing the guidelines on dark patterns, is to also have a hackathon on dark pattern buster, so that consumers can have an easy, accessible, some kind of a tool which they can use when they are, going to different sites, and can assure themselves that they will not be cheated, or unfair trade practices in the name of dark patterns, uh, don't kind of violate their consumer rights.
Sure,
So
ma'am.
this hackathon will be organized in several stages, and that will, ultimately strengthen consumer rights.
Sure, ma'am. And also, could you give us some details, ma'am, on the November 8th meeting with the airlines? What is the issue and what are the complaints that you received on the National Consumer Helpline?
We received about 10,000 complaints on National Consumer Helpline for the past 1 year in this sector, where, of course, most of the complaints are for refund of tickets and things like that. But essentially, there are many other things where consumers are complaining that either they are having a very they are forced to buy certain seats for a hidden cost which they were not being told, or many times airlines basically ask them to go for free web check-in, but when they go for the web check-in, suddenly they realize that there is a cost to the to this so-called free web check-in. So these are the patterns that we studied, and therefore we thought that we will invite all the stakeholders. That includes the airline sector, major tours and travel agencies, and also consumer organizations to discuss threadbare the practices which are being adopted. And this meeting will be held on the 8th of November.
Sure, ma'am. And I'm sure the government is not really interested in the business model or kind of trying to create an interference. Could you also give us a sense what the government's focus is when you look at such things, ma'am?
So the government is not regulating the prices that airlines want to, have for their tours or travels. Neither do we want to disrupt the, sector. The whole idea is that for the consumers, the information should be lucid, clear, the disclosures should be honest and truthful, and there should not be anything which is misleading or unfair about the practices that are being adopted. And consumers must know upfront what they are buying. So, for
Sure, ma'am.
example, when they are buying tickets, and suddenly there's a pop-up about purchasing of some insurance policy. Now, if the consumer does not want to take this policy, and he presses no, then there is this pop-up message which kind of you know, kind of makes the consumer feel guilty by saying that okay, I'll risk my life or some such thing. So this is something which is forcing the consumer to take a particular decision, and this is basically manipulating the consumer to take a decision which he has not expressly desired, neither has he given consent.
Got it, ma'am. Also, ma'am, one big pressing concern is towards the IAS institutes and the coaching centers, ma'am. The government has, of course, initiated action, and the course of investigation is on. Ma'am, what are the findings, and what kind of patterns have you noticed there, ma'am?
CCPA has issued notices to 20 prominent IAS coaching institutes after noticing that rampant misleading claims are being made by each of the by each of the coaching institute. And we also noticed that for example, the same candidate
Yes.
by several IAS coaching institutes. When we asked for their explanation, and when we analyzed their responses, we found that most of the successful candidates had only taken a mock interview guidance program, and which was also free of cost. Now, in an IAS or a civil services exam, we all know that it comprises of 3 stages. So, about more than 10 lakh students every year appear for the prelims, and from there, say about 10,000 people are shortlisted for mains exams. And from these mains exams, about 3,000 students are shortlisted for the personality test or the interview. So the modus operandi that is being adopted by most of these prominent IAS coaching centers who are making very misleading claims is that they are offering free of cost interview guidance program, and when the student takes up these classes maybe for just 1 hour, and since it is complimentary, they are taking several such classes from different coaching institutes, but the coaching institutes do not inform the consumer that the successful candidate had only taken interview guidance program, and that also for free or complimentary. So if this information was made known to the consumer, then at least misleading advertisements which are out to deceive the consumers into thinking that this organization or this institute has actually gone in for the or the student has gone in for the long term paid, very heavy paid courses. So they must disclose this information in a very truthful and honest manner.
Sure, ma'am. Also, are you also kind of looking into such claims of dark patterns when it comes to the insurance sector, ma'am? Because a lot of clickbait also happens during those when you log in for for taking a policy, be it car insurance, insurance, life insurance. You get a lot of clickbait there as well. So, are you looking at that as well?
So virtually dark patterns is being rampant, say, use by different sectors. So the issue is to make the consumer aware, to ensure that he is able to safeguard his rights by quickly finding out that certain things which are being very fishy, or something which are hidden uh, in the cost, or something which is being forced to the consumer to give consent. All these actually make for dark patterns, and these are the unfair trade practices. So the consumer, once he's aware, he will begin to question. He will also make sure that under the unfair trade practices, he can also take redressal.
Is there any other sector that you're looking at, ma'am?
So there are several sectors, which can be using these things, particularly in cases of services, because there it is very difficult to, to make an assessment of the quality of services, and therefore consumers are very, very dependent, on how to take the choice. But they should not get manipulated, or they should not get exploited. That is what is our job. And therefore, through the hackathon, we are trying to evolve a tool which can, safeguard the consumer's right.
Right, sure, ma'am. Because if in the press conference also you were very optimistic along with Secretary Sir regarding the hackathon, and in fact, great prize money has also been put in place to encourage more people to come over. Last question, ma'am. When the coaching institutes are concerned, are there further scope of expansion of the investigation, or just these 20 companies or the institutes would be under the investigation?
So basically, there are several stages of investigation at which these 20 institutes are there. In some cases, final order has been issued and penalty has been imposed. In other cases, some reports are pending at the DG investigation level. In some cases, hearing is almost in the final stages. So there are several stages to, the completion of a proceeding.
Right, ma'am. Last question before I let you go. I know you are caught up in various meetings, ma'am. Any comment on the rising food prices, especially onions, ma'am?
I think government is doing whatever it takes to ensure that the prices are stable, and for the benefit of farmers as well as the consumers. It's a tight balance which has to be made.
Any interference at your end, ma'am? Any step that you are undertaking?
I think I mean the interventions that we are taking, they are always shared with the media.
Sure, ma'am. Wishing you all the best, ma'am. All the best for the hackathon, and thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.